You gave them every chance to win. If you look at this in slow motion, you can see Caitlin Clark clearly smiling in confusion, smiling in, did that really just happen? Smiling in, you sly W. And she says, she points at the other team, you gave them every chance to win. Oh, goodness gracious. Caitlin Clark, she's chomping at the bits to start talking to these referees during the
WNBA has landed itself in yet another firestorm, and this time Caitlin Clark double standards and the league's ridiculous obsession with silencing its stars instead of protecting them. What should have been a night to celebrate a hard-fought Indiana Fever victory turned into Exhibit A of how the WNBA's credibility is collapsing in real time.
Know where everything started at with Sydney Colson. So this is the timeline here. Let me get this pulled up here. This is interesting. I didn't know she said all that today. Okay, this is interesting here. She started off last night by saying at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as each other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually. And I've considered roping my sister in it to have office purse charge.
Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson aren't holding back anymore. They're tired of the unfair calls, the double standards, and the league's focus on shutting down its stars instead of protecting them. What should have been a night to celebrate the Indiana Fever's hard-fought win turned into another example of how the WNBA is losing credibility. This all started with Sydney Colson. Last night, she posted that at some point,
paying you, bruh. Who you betting on? And mind you, there was some problems going on with the shot clock throughout the game. But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? Like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam.
In this league, Kelsey Mitchell needs to get the same foul calls as the other stars. She said the way Mitchell gets hit with no whistles is crazy, and she even joked about calling her sister to press charges. The Fever had just pulled off a
foul was so blatant that even the people in the last row of the nosebleeds could see it. Everyone expected the whistle, but the referees? Silent. They swallowed it like the foul didn't even happen. Mitchell, tough as nails, finished the layup anyway, but the damage was done. The Fever bench went ballistic.
One referee. We definitely have to check for betting slips for this guy right here. I think his name is like Agun Agazi, because it sure seemed like he did not want to let the Fever take away this win, making the last 1.9 seconds last almost 5 minutes. He was just like letting them call a reset timeout, and then he was like, no, it's a foul. But I think the worst part about that 1.9 seconds was when 0.4 seconds was left on the clock, and Kelsey Mitchell was at the free throw line. She was trying to miss on purpose because that takes time off of the clock, because if she would have made it in, they would have been able to inbound and possibly do a tip in. But this guy allowed a reset timeout. When do you allow a reset timeout with point?
Clark, sitting injured on the sideline but locked into the game as always, lost it. She stood up, shouting at the referees, waving her arms, screaming,
close 76-75 win over the Los Angeles Sparks. Normally, that kind of victory would have the locker room buzzing with excitement. Instead, the talk was all about the strange and one-sided officiating that left players.
Everybody saw in that game. Like, it didn't really matter what was going on. We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was happening there. And the game was being given. The game was absolutely being given to the Sparks. They were giving the Sparks every single chance possible to go and win that game. Even though realistically, did they deserve to win that game? Hell no. Hell no. They did not. And I mean that. They did not deserve to win that.
Fans and analysts frustrated. The refs made some questionable decisions, especially late in the game. On top of that, the shot clock had issues all night. At the end, when every second mattered, the refs didn't even notice when a player touched the ball, and then they rewarded the Sparks with a timeout.
But Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was horrific. And Kelsey drove to the basket a lot. She is the type of person that just like goes through a lot of defenders, and she wasn't getting a call. This really was not her game. She was not hitting it from the three whatsoever, but everyone is entitled to having a bad game here and there, and I think she was kind of due for one because of the tear that she's been on lately. Even Sid Colson took to Twitter to talk about it, saying, at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane.
Caitlin Clark looked stunned, ready to run the floor, but everything stopped. Earlier in the second quarter, Kelsey Mitchell drove hard to the basket, beat her defender clean, and got hit right in front of the officials. No call. Just another example of how unbalanced the game felt. Kelsey Mitchell drove hard to the basket and got yanked in midair. It wasn't a small bump, it was a clear...
Of course, Caitlin Clark couldn't resist chiming in. Her response was perfect, short, sharp, and laced with sarcasm. Careful, you're going to get fined. 6 words that said it all. Because Clark knows better than anyone that this league doesn't tolerate criticism of its referees.
Grab. The foul was so obvious that even people sitting in the last row could see it.
Wasn't exaggerating. She was pointing to a very real, very ugly track record.
You're going to get fined. Then Sydney Colson said, I can't get no more fine. So Lynn Dunn stated, agree, I will help pay the fine. So that's what Lynn Dunn stated yesterday about the fines. And Caitlin Clark said, love it. Everyone listen to Lynn. So it's definitely a lot of exchange going back and forth there.
Everyone waited for the whistle, but the ref stayed silent. Mitchell still finished the layup, showing her toughness, but the Fever bench exploded in anger. One referee in particular stood out. His calls looked so bad that people started joking about checking if he had betting slips. His name was Aunagazzi, and it seemed like he didn't want the Fever to win. He stretched the final 1.9 seconds into nearly 5 minutes. First, he allowed a reset timeout, then suddenly called a foul. The worst moment came with 4 seconds left.
Like, I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. Couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're going to do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistency.
When whistles are player-focused, that's I think that's a huge problem. But then again, I don't know what sport that doesn't exist. But she's a rookie. She shouldn't get whistles as a rookie.
Mitchell was at the free throw line, trying to miss on purpose to burn clock. If she made the shot, the Sparks would have had time for a tip-in. But instead of letting the play go, the ref let the Sparks reset with a timeout. Nobody could believe it. On the sidelines, Caitlin Clark, injured but fully locked in, lost her cool. She stood up shouting at the refs, waving her arms, yelling, "Call it! Call it!" Her fire set the tone. Lexi Hull joined in, furious at the no call. And what did the refs do? They gave Hull a technical foul. Think about that. The player who got fouled got nothing, the player who did the foul kept playing, and the teammate who spoke up got punished. If that's not fixing the game, what is? It felt like everything was being handed to the Sparks. They got every break, every chance to steal the win. But did they deserve it? No. Not even close. Watching from home with a torn ACL, Sydney Colson had seen enough. She jumped on Twitter and wrote one of the season's biggest posts. At a certain point in this league, Kelsey Mitchell needs to get the same whistle as other stars. The way
More people are talking about the refs than that. More people are talking about Caitlin Clark's reaction than that. And that just sums up how bad the refereeing is that we have seen an unbelievable game. We have seen an unbelievable game. A game where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, the Fever not even just maybe, the Fever put themselves in a great position. They put themselves in a great position to succeed. But now you're looking and you're like, what do people remember from this game? Caitlin Clark having to be restrained by her.
She gets assaulted is insane. I've thought about asking my sister's office to press charges. Her frustration hit home because Mitchell had been driving to the basket all night, battling defenders, but barely getting any calls. It wasn't her best game shooting-wise, especially from three, but she's been on fire lately, so one off night was bound to happen. Still, the real issue wasn't her misses, it was the fact that the refs refused to give her fair calls. Colson's tweet wasn't a joke. It said out loud what Fever fans have been shouting all season: this isn't just bad refereeing, it feels like targeting. Indiana's players are getting hacked and then punished for even reacting. Her words were raw, sarcastic, and honest. Fans loved it, and the post blew up online. People everywhere agreed. Finally, someone said it. And Caitlin Clark. She couldn't resist adding her own touch. Her reply was short and sarcastic: careful, you're going to get fined. 6 words.
Please tell me y'all saw Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. Y'all saw Caitlin Clark crash out on the bald head ref last night. Please tell me y'all saw this. And she had Caitlin Clark spazzed on the referee last night. And I'm not mad about it. I see a lot of the haters talking about, oh, she be doing too much with the man. Mind your business. You are not in a GOAT's place, so stay out of a GOAT's business, okay? It's that simple. The officiating was awful last night. I don't know what was going on in that Los Angeles Sparks Indy.
That said it all. Clark knows better than anyone how the league punishes its stars for speaking the truth. The WNBA doesn't like it when players criticize referees. You can get hit hard on the court, ignored by officials, and lose momentum because of bad calls, but the second you speak up, the league comes after you with fines. Caitlin Clark wasn't exaggerating when she joked about getting fined, she was pointing to a real problem. Sydney Colson replied, "I can't get no more fine," and Lynn Dunn even jumped in saying she'd help pay it. Clark loved that and told everyone to listen to Lynn. It turned into a back and forth that showed how frustrated players really are. Just ask Sophie Cunningham. She's become the example of what happens when you question refs. She's been fined 3 different times, once for lip-syncing to a TikTok song that mocked referees, another time for criticizing inconsistency on her podcast, and again for saying Paige Buchers was being...
Was this dude right here. And from what I've seen, the man has been a part of controversial calls all year. He's been a part of it all year, man. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Jack, what you say? Agan Abazi, man. This man is diabolical work to the WNBA. He's betting. Somebody get the shame bell. Ding, ding.
Protected while players like Kelsey Mitchell were being hacked with no calls. Cunningham made it clear, she respects Paige and thinks she's a great player, but she couldn't stand the way refs blew the whistle every time Paige was touched while ignoring...
So much as raises her eyebrows after a missed call, and she's barking at refs? Technical.
Ignoring fouls against Fever guards. To her, that's not just frustrating, it's unfair. A rookie shouldn't be getting star calls while veterans are left unprotected. The message from the league under Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is ugly: take whatever the refs give you or pay up. Instead of protecting players and keeping games fair, they're silencing their stars. Colson's response to Clark, "I can't get no more fine," was half a joke but also a warning. Players are basically saying they can't afford to keep speaking the truth. That's not just unfair, it's broken. This isn't about one missed call. It's about a pattern. Fever players have been put...
You got on Boz, yeah? How much money you got on that game? You took the Sparks to win, huh, didn't you? You took the Sparks to win, huh, didn't you? It's okay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time you'll get the benefit of the doubt. The referees are bad, Bo. The referees are absolutely horrendous in this game. There's no other way to call it for what it is. The referees are abysmal. And you can't help but wonder, is there foul play going on here? Is there foul play going on?